Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling is once again kind of positioning itself to have all this potential again, similar to when I talked on this channel about Impact back in January around Hard to Kill, when I felt like this could have been an opportunity for Impact Wrestling to really kind of kick into high gear and grow their audience once again. Unfortunately, they faltered quite a bit after Hard to Kill, really ruining a lot of that potential. They continue to give us feuds like Bubba Ray and Tommy Dreamer, which in 2023, it's just not good. I can enjoy Bully Ray as a character when he's even in a title scene. I enjoyed him and Josh Alexander around Hard to Kill. But Bubba and Tommy, at first I was into it. It just went on too long, and it's really hard to care after a while. Same with the design and Sami Callihan. Like, how long can you possibly drag out a storyline that isn't working for anybody and it's not getting anybody over? How long can you possibly drag it out? Turns out kind of long. Now, I promise this is going to be a positive video, at least mostly positive, but I do have to get one more thing off my back. When it comes to the booking from Impact, I feel like there is a trend of Impact where they have to put people in feuds that nobody really wants to see. And meanwhile, they have all this talent that they just put on opening of the show. They'll put them in matches, but they won't build them up properly. And I feel like it's a lot of wasted potential. We see Kenny King, it's always constantly a bunch of wasted potential. They continue to put Mike Bailey and Gresham in matches together, and sure, those are great matches, but I don't really feel like it's doing anything for either of these guys. Sure, they could go out and have great matches, but why are they not in a title scene or something? Or why they are not in like a better feud or something? You could have these boring ass feuds like Callahan and the Design go on forever, but you can't have a real feud for these two individuals who are not only great wrestlers, but have the potential to be better characters if you work on them. I even felt like that a lot of times with Josh Alexander and his title scene, continuing to put him with a bunch of people that really wasn't doing anything for the title or for a main storyline for Impact, but they would continue to put him in those kinds of feuds. And now, not only did Impact's booking kind of hurt their momentum after Hard to Kill, but then they had a bunch of injuries. Josh Alexander goes down after having the title for so long. Mickie James goes down. And now Impact has to build themselves back up. And who do they put in the main event title scene? PCO? Why? You know, Maclin and PCO can both be characters. Yes, sure. But PCO right away in the main title scene, I don't get it. I just don't understand it. There is more potential in Impact, but I do feel like it continues to be squandered. And I don't care about seeing PCO in a title scene when it's already hard for me to care about Maclin as champion. So putting Maclin and PCO together right off the bat, I'm sorry, doesn't make me care a whole lot. However, Impact was this past week up to Thursday. Basically, we're going from last Thursday's Impact, May 4th. That's what I'll be talking about today. Up until May 10th. So that's the past week I'm talking about. Over the past week, Impact was probably the third best product going, however. Despite still having a bunch of flaws with their booking, I do like the potential that lays in Impact. One thing that it's going to be the main point of the video is going to be the Knockouts division and all of the potential to possibly be, once again, the best women's division in all of wrestling. And yes, that's counting Stardom. I know that if you're a big fan of Japan wrestling, you're going to love Stardom, probably. But that's a very niche audience in an already niche product that is pro wrestling in 2023. Japanese wrestling is very niche, and it's just not the best. It's still a bunch of thrown together matches most of the time. And that just doesn't do it for most people. And it certainly doesn't do it for me. And this is my channel. And I find that the Knockouts to have more potential than any other women's division in wrestling right now. But before I talk about that, I also want to talk about that Impact can pull off some entertaining segments. And yeah, comedy characters can get annoying, sure. Watching Dirty Dango try and figure out who attacked Santino was already fun enough because that is a good character to watch. But to have him, team up with Joe Hendry, who I've talked about loving his entertainment factor on this channel before. So those two working together as investigators made for some pretty funny TV. And them, kind of really questioning Trey Miguel was pretty funny as well. And it was good to see Trey Miguel in more of a more comedy segment because I do think he pulled it off well. And I think Trey can be a good character when given the time. So I do enjoy what we're getting there with Impact. I enjoy Nick Aldis coming back to Impact. And I'm interested to see where they go with him. So once again, talking about the potential that Impact Wrestling does have. They can pull off entertaining segments, and they have good hands, and they have people like Nick Aldis now who is going to be very interesting to see where they go with them. But the Knockouts division is what I think has the biggest potential of all to once again put the Knockouts division as the best in wrestling. There was a time in the 2000s where the Knockouts division was the women's wrestling division. Not just because they were having great matches, but because they had great characters and they had great feuds. And I feel like the potential is there again. They have Deonna Purrazzo as the champion now that Mickie James was injured. And I do like that. I feel like we can start to maybe see her grow again as a wrestler, and I hope that is the case. Of course, the big thing, Naomi coming from the WWE as Trinity in Impact Wrestling now. And I feel like the truth is somewhere in the middle when it comes to Trinity. Like, there is people that will act like Trinity is the biggest signing and Impact in 2 decades since Kurt Angle, and that might be a little overblown. And then there's people that try and downplay it and say that, oh, nobody cares about Trinity. Her and Sasha left, and everybody only cared about Sasha. The fact is, Sasha is at this point the bigger name. But Naomi/Trinity is nothing but wasted potential in the WWE. The fact that the WWE never put her in the Bloodline story was a dropped ball. And that's why the Bloodline story got so stale the first time. Before Sami Zayn came into it, the story got very stale. When they had all of these potential layers to add to the story, they never went there with like Naomi or Tamina Snuka. Putting the women in the story would have added layers to the story. They didn't go there. But we'll talk about that in the WWE video. I have some negative things to say about the Bloodline story going forward. But the truth about Trinity is somewhere in the middle. I think she is a big enough name to be added to Impact to, get the social media numbers up. And I would love to see them kind of rip off the Bloodline. I think Impact can do that without, it being some sort of copyright infringement, where it kind of seems like the Bloodline is within Impact Wrestling as well through Naomi. Similar to when the NWO first came into WCW and they did a good job of kayfabing it, making it seem like these were WWF people invading WCW. You could sort of get away with that with Trinity if you really wanted to. Have her kind of grow a wing. You can't call the Bloodline, obviously. That's copyrighted. But you can, make a play on words and make it seem like Trinity's doing her own thing in Impact, growing her own wing of the Bloodline. But wherever they go with Trinity, the potential is there for good storylines with the Knockouts. Now, a lot of this is contingent on when Mickie James returns. And when Mickie James returns, I do think the Knockouts division is the best women's division in wrestling. AEW has booked their women terrible since day one, and it truly hasn't changed much. And then in the WWE, Triple H doesn't know how to book the women somehow. We see how they squander every possible potential that they get. And all they do is, sure, they build up champions. Belair's winning records there. And Rhea is supposed to be this big champion. But Rhea's already falling into some bad booking there with who her opponents are going to be. It's similar to what happened with Bianca as champion. So that is why not only do the Knockouts have the potential to be the best division of women in wrestling, but I do think that they possibly already might be when Mickie James returns from injury. If they can just get the storylines right and build up these characters, Don't squander the potential impact. You did it after Hard to Kill. You have potential again. Don't screw it up. Please don't screw it up.